Welcome to the Kung Fu Physicist podcast. I am the Kung Fu Physicist, here to take the mystery out of Kung Fu and add the science into fighting. So, today's episode is episode number 5. We're keeping it going right along. Some people are commenting, you're really cranking them out. That's right. Yes, I am. So, today's episode, we're going to cover a couple things. Number 1, some announcements of what's coming up. Number 2, I'm going to cover some comments. But the main focus of today's episode is we're going to talk about our kids programs and the benefits of kids programs and how they can add to your own Wing Tsun school or your own Kung Fu school. Okay. And for our physics tip, I'm going to go over Newton's second law. I'll tell you what that is. And finally, for the self-defense tip at the end, we're going to cover a good posture correction you can make to help with your self-defense. All right, so let's get right into the episode. First of all, I have to say that we just came back from a seminar in San Antonio with Great Grandmaster Lung Ting. It was hosted by the San Antonio Wing Tsun Academy. Sifu Will Parker put everything together. So thank you so much, Sifu Will, for organizing everything and making this event happen. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to train with the Grandmaster this past weekend. So thank you so much. The seminar was amazing. Every time I work with Sijo, it's just a whole brand new experience. He always focuses on things it seems like you need to work on, and he's really just amazing. He's created so many fighters over the years. And that's one of the main reasons we stay in the IWTA, to be able to go there and train with him and his students. Sifu Angus Liu was down there, and he was able to also help kind of update us on the programs as well. And it's just such a great network of people that are working together to push everyone up, to make everyone else better. So that's why we love being part of the IWTA and following Grandmaster Lung Ting. On top of him just being an amazing teacher, he's also great at making people fighters. So not just an amazing teacher, but also so knowledgeable, and he knows just what to say about certain things. It's, what can I say? He's been doing this since he was 13. I think he's 76 now, so you guys do the math. Right. Okay, so first of all, let's get back to that. My big announcement is that I got 2 interviews while I was down there. So the first 2 interviews of my podcast, one is with Sifu Angus Liu, Master Angus Liu. He is a 5th level practitioner. He was in the Hong Kong school for many, many years, and I got an interview with him. And also I have an interview with Great Grandmaster Lung Ting himself. So I am putting those together right now. I'm going to edit them, send them to Sifu Angus and Great Grandmaster Lung Ting, get their approval, and then I'm going to be releasing some episodes of my first interviews. So keep a lookout for that. Those will probably come next week or the week after. I will be announcing when I will be uploading them and live streaming them, essentially. So I guess it wouldn't be live streaming, huh? I guess streaming them. I will announce when they're going to come out. Okay, so keep listening, keep your ears open for when that's going to happen. And I really look forward to it. It was some really great interviews. I got some good stuff. All right, so let's get into the meat and gravy of today. Oh, I forgot the comments. Let's get the comments. So, thank you, Akbar M. So, Akbar M interacted with our YouTube video. He left a couple comments, so I'm going to address those right now. If you guys want to interact with me, leave comments on our YouTube video. Leave comments on the Spotify. Okay, let me know what you want to hear me cover. All right. So, number 1, can you do a video that shows how to throw a Wing Tsun punch with the shockwave? I can do a video about this, and I am planning to do a video to show how the punch does a shockwave. However, how can I say this? It's very hard to show the shockwave in the video. We need a really high-speed camera, something that I don't have, but you need an extremely high-speed camera to see the actual shockwave that I'm talking about. So if anybody here was interested in my explosive punching power podcast, and you want to see how to generate that explosive wave, and you want to see me record it, well, we need a camera that's capable of at least minimum 10,000 frames per second. Those cameras aren't cheap. I have to rent one. It's essentially like $900 per day, something, or even more than that, because then you need the lens and everything. Anyway, it's pretty expensive to rent one of these cameras. We need a high resolution, high speed camera, and of course tons of lights, a lot of power to actually like show this shockwave in slow motion to where you guys can see it, because the shockwave moves really, really fast. I don't know off the top of my head, but let's say the speed of sound through the air is approximately 750-ish miles per hour. Again, I don't know the exact number. I'm sure you guys can correct me in the comments, because I don't have my... I guess I could look it up, but I don't feel like it. Anyway, it's somewhere around 750 miles an hour. But the speed that a wave travels through water or solid is much higher. It's much, much higher. Again, I don't know the exact figures. I think one of them is like 8,000 miles an hour through liquids, and something like 13,000 miles per hour through solids, something like that. Again, I don't know the exact numbers. I'd have to look at the transfer speeds through the mediums. So, yeah, this shockwave isn't something, it's something that just happens. It's not something that you have to, like, make it happen. It just kind of happens by itself, if you're doing the punch right. Okay. So, his next question, which knuckles do you use for striking? Does it depend on the angle? The answer is it depends on you. It's about the bone structure of your body. So in Wing Tsun, we try to use the whole flat of the fist for striking instead of the knuckles. Not specifically the knuckles, I guess you would say. You could say we use the bottom three knuckles. But most importantly, when you practice, you have to practice hitting a solid object that does not move. Something that's really hard, like a solid piece of wood. The wall bags are great for training because you can really punch them and they provide some protection. But they also are very hard, so you can feel what it's like to hit something solid. If you have a wooden dummy at home, you can go ahead and slowly punch the dummy. Try it soft at first and then start speeding up. And the dummy will teach you which knuckles to use, because the dummy doesn't give. So if you can just punch the dummy, if you punch wrong, the dummy will punish you. All right. So that's what I have advice for which knuckles to use. And secondly, on that topic, which knuckles do you use for striking? My second answer is it doesn't matter. Just hit them. All right. Just defend yourself. Okay. A lot of people are thinking, oh, which special technique should I use? Which this, which that? What should I go for their eyes? Should I aim for their throat? There's a secret pressure point? Should I aim for that? In the beginning, just hit them. Just hit them. That's it. You don't need any special instructions beyond that. If you really want to figure out how to hold your fist, you have to come into a Wing Tsun school. We have one here in Glenview, right outside of Chicago, but there are a bunch of schools in the IWTA all over the U.S. that you can look for, and they will all teach you the proper way of punching to strike someone without having a glove on and without depending on a wrist wrap. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Akbar, please let me know in the comments when we release this video. Now we can get into the meat and gravy of the episode. Okay. Kids programs. Many of our fellow Wing Tsun instructors dread kids programs. It's like when I say kids programs, there's like an involuntary like reflex, like kids programs. No. Okay. Oh, there's so much work. What am I supposed to teach the kids? They can't learn the adult stuff. What's supposed to happen? What am I supposed to do? The kids programs are about benefiting your local community. That's what the kids programs are really about. You can make such a positive and you can make such a big impact, like such a positive impact in your local community by teaching these kids how to fight and how to use Wing Tsun. Many kids today are stuck in situations where they go to school. At school, they have some social interaction at school, but it's under a teacher. Okay. Then they come home and they play with their friends, but mostly they play on an iPad or they play on a computer. And the only social interaction they get is with their parents or maybe their siblings. So when they go out to big events, when there's like lots of people around, they don't know how to act and they can get easily startled. They can have great anxiety, especially after these last 3 years of lockdowns and whatever, right? The kids really need this program. They need the Wing Tsun program. Why? Because our program is special. It's not like a karate program. It's not like other traditional kung fu programs. What is special about our programs? And the answer is our Chi Sao training. Okay? Our self-defense training. We are one of the only schools and the only types of martial arts that has this type of interpersonal drill. Wrestling and stuff also has something similar. So wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But wrestling and jiu-jitsu also aren't very big in the States. In fact, wrestling is, but not jiu-jitsu. Excuse me. Wrestling is huge. If I go and I mention to... It just happened the other day. We mentioned to someone that we did martial arts. And they looked at us and they were like, huh? What is that? What's martial arts? If we said jiu-jitsu or if we said Wing Tsun, they would be like, huh? What's that? Well, one of our fellow instructors, he said, we do kung fu. And they said, oh, wow, kung fu. Okay. So, most people don't know about our programs, and they don't know what we have in this school that's special. Again, the special thing that we have is this tactile reflex training. It teaches the kids to learn how to deal with each other and not just pushing and wrestling, but the fear of being hit by each other. And it really helps them to manage their anxieties, and it really helps them to manage their emotional stress levels, and it helps them to learn how to respect other people. The kids program is so essential in the United States. As I was just talking with Sifu German at lunch. In Europe, there's they have really good kids programs too, and they have great adult programs. But in Europe, people generally stay and like practice something in one region. So if I'm in Germany, if I grew up in, I don't know, Kaiserslautern city in Germany, typically I would tend to stay around that area. Maybe I'll move to the other side of Germany, and some people end up moving around the world and in different countries, but in general, people stay there. In the U.S., our market is so big, our country is so big that people move around very quickly. Just all of a sudden, they're gone. They get a job, they graduate high school, they're out of here. And so for us, the other benefit of kids programs is that these are people who are actually staying in the area long enough to learn your program. One of the things we experience with adults is that sometimes somebody gets a new job, and that job is not in Illinois anymore. That job's in Tennessee, and it's someone who loves to keep training with us. They want to keep training, but hey, their job pulled them to another state. What are they going to do, right? So the kids programs, again, the benefit is to the local community with the kids themselves. You can really make a positive impact in your local community. This is the most important thing I can stress with you guys for my fellow Wing Tsun instructors. We do have a really well thought out kids program here at our school, and it's been achieving very positive, really good results. So if you want to reach out to us about doing something with kids programs, let us know. But our kids program has had really positive impact with the kids. I'm not going to name any of the children, but I know their parents have seen great growth and great improvement in all of their children, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and socially, most importantly, socially, from our programs. That's the main aspect that our program has that other programs do not, and it's that social aspect. As you all know, when we do Wing Tsun training, most of our drills have to be done with a partner. So let me go again back to the difference. For instance, in a karate school, or even, let's say, boxing, or another traditional martial art, a lot of times it's like just doing pad work, or you're standing doing forms, you're doing conditioning, which is good. It's something you definitely need. And that can have really positive benefits. So the difference between our program and those programs is the final aspect, which is the social aspect. So in boxing, for instance, you do a lot of pad work, you do a lot of fitness exercising, and the partner drills where nobody gets hurt is the pad work. You also hit the heavy bag. You do strength training, you do endurance training, and then you do sparring. And during the sparring, you also do shadow boxing. But during the sparring is a time where you're trying out your stuff. You're really trying to get a partner, and you're learning. During the sparring, you can get hurt. Okay, you can get your bell rung. You can suffer some damage during sparring. So we also have sparring in our school. The different drill that we have is we have different Chi Sao and Lat Sao drills that allow the kids to punch at each other, hit each other, and try to get each other in a safe and controlled manner. And this adds to their social aspect, because there's nothing more nerve-wracking than if another kid at school is going to potentially beat them up, right? So if we can get them to live and be comfortable in that type of environment while training safely, they start learning to calm down, and they start learning to improve their social skills, because they don't have to be so nervous about the conflict. They can kind of navigate through the conflict, if you will, without having to put their hands up and without having to instigate a fight. So our specialty lies in those drills. So for you fellow Wing Tsun instructors out there, do you want to make a really positive impact in your local community? You need to have these kids programs. The benefits to the local community are immeasurable. There's not a lot of programs like ours. We have a very unique program. I'm talking about Lung Ting Wing Chun. This program is so unique that it's very hard to find, right? And people immediately recognize that it's different. People that train in other martial arts, or even people who bring their kids in, they've tried different places and they come in, they're like, wow, this is totally different than I imagined. Because it's the way that we train is very unique. So kids programs are essential not only to your local community, but to the future of your school because of the moving thing I talked about. And the future of the art. You know, these kids start learning very young, and by the time some of them turn 16, 17, 18 like that, they can already be first technicians or second technicians, which means that they are already starting off on a base at 20 years old, you know. Now, a lot of us wish, oh man, I wish I was a technician when I was 18 or 19 like that. And I wish it too, but too late, I wasn't, right? I started when I was like 20, 21 years old. That's when I started training and saw the importance of it. But you got to remember that, again, in the States, teens drop out of the program a lot. Teenagers become just very interested in like other teen stuff, the social aspect, dating, all this stuff, and they lose interest in training and building a skill. And for a lot of American families, that's when they say, okay, my kid's not interested anymore, I'm not going to push them to do it. And so that's why it's important to build a base and a passion for the art when they're young, so that hopefully most of them, like I wish all of my kids would stay with us and grow up to be Wing Chun masters. That's what I really want. Create a new generation of Wing Chun masters to bring this style to the rest of the world. And I hope all of them stay, but I'm also realistic. I know that teen stuff happens and, you know, they get interested in other things, different sports, different activities, dating, and I don't know, being cool on social media or acting, you know, stuff like this. Everyone's different personality. So I really hope to instill in our young ones the love and passion for the art, and having a great base to go off of. By the time they're 12 or 13 years old, they can really start getting into some like intrinsic drills and some really good fighting drills, and be able to navigate that space really well. So, again, that's our kids program. I'm going to go now into our physics tip. And actually, before I drop into the physics tip, if you guys have any questions about our kids program, you can check out our website. Me and Sifu German worked really hard to put this kids program together, to take the adults program to meet the emotional and mental needs of the little kids, because at every stage is different. Our 4-year-olds, 4 through 7 are in one, but 4-year-olds have a little bit different mentality than a 5 to 7-year-old. So a 4-year-old can't really manage their emotions very well. So you have to do some things to keep them excited and engaged in the course. And it's going to seem like they're not learning, because it kind of looks like they're playing around and having fun. But they are learning a lot. The 4-year-olds actually learn the most. And it comes to fruition when they turn 5. I've already seen it happen with several of our students. It's been amazing. So currently we have some students right now, they're 4 years old. And one of the kids, he knows who he is, or his dad knows anyway. And if he's listening, you can give a shout out, but I'm not going to give any names for the protection of our students. This one little boy, he was having a hard time learning stuff, hard time focusing. He started focusing, and now he's got this killer round kick, like a low round kick that's like just, it's amazing. Like this little kid, he's only 4. He's not very big for his age. And he delivers that kick. He figured it out. And yeah, it's only on his right side, but that's what's natural for him. But he gives one of the best round kicks in the whole school at 4. But at first, when we were teaching him, he couldn't do it. His legs were all funny. You know, he's 4 years old. They're very cute. And he couldn't do the moves. He's trying, you know. But then just one day, you know, I think he's going to be 5 pretty soon. Just one day, that low round kick came out, like, pow! And I'm like, wow, look at this kid. He just figured it out. He's got it. And he's 4. So I want you to imagine as he grows and he becomes bigger, and he's going to find these movements very natural for him. And that's what's important. So, again, guys, dedicate your time to learning how to teach the kids. They're the future of your art. They're the future of your school. They are the future. Children are the future in general, right? By the time we get up there, we get ready to retire, and we look at our instructors, it's like, well, who can pass on the art? And it's typically going to be somebody young, somebody who's like 15, 16, 17, something like that. So it's really important to have a great program, and the reason kids program, and the reason the 15, 16, 17-year-olds are the most have the highest potential is because they don't have careers yet. We have lots of adults who are really amazing. They love to train, but a lot of them already have careers. They already have degrees. They already have things they're specialized in, and I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just very hard for them to say, oh, I want to open my own Wing Tsun school. Instead, most of them just really love to train and stay with the art, and that's true for most people. And we love these guys. We love to pass the art to them. And maybe one day one of them will say, hey, Sifu Eric, Sifu Guillermo, we want to start our own school too. And we'll be so happy to help and give advice on how to do that and help to boost Lung Ting Wing Chun up throughout the U.S. Because, again, we really do believe this program is super valuable, and it provides such great things for our local community. Not just for kids, you know, but today was focused on the kids program. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment. Please interact with our video. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Some of y'all come up to me or you text me on some different platform, and it's like just leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify, and that will help me get up our engagement, and I will answer your questions there. All right, let's go on to today's physics tip, and then I'll do the self-defense tip. Physics tip of the day is Newton's second law. Force equals mass times acceleration. What does this mean? Okay, so force is essentially how much you can move something, okay? So force is measured in newtons, which means kilogram meters per second per second. Hopefully I didn't lose y'all on that one. Let me say it again. Kilogram meters per second per second. Now some of y'all's minds are just melting right now just because I said that, okay? Oh, hold on, I'm getting interrupted. So, kilogram meters per second per second. Let's break that down. So, I want you to imagine something that weighs a kilogram. And for those of us in the United States, that is approximately 2.2 pounds, right? I want you to imagine a kilogram ball. Yeah. Now let's make it a cube. Make it a cube so you guys can imagine this. Kilogram meters per second per second. So let's say we have a 1 kilogram cube. I'm going to push it. I'm going to change its velocity. I'm going to change the velocity of the cube. I'm going to speed it up. I'm going to push it and make it increase its speed. And we'll say it's on an imaginary frictionless surface, so it's just going to keep going. All right. So as I push the 1 kilogram cube, it's going to increase its speed. And I'll let it go. It's going to keep going. Let's say I increase its speed to 1 meter per second. All right. So I pushed 1 kilogram. Now it's traveling 1 meter per second. Let's say that the length of time it took me to push this thing up to 1 meter per second was also 1 second. That means I have exhibited 1 Newton of force. 1 Newton, right? A Newton is 1 kilogram meter per second, right? You know, physics is a very hard concept to wrap your minds around. It wasn't really till Isaac Newton, I mean, this is why it's Newton's second law, that people started figuring these things out, and that was in the 1700s. Essentially, maybe, when was it? 17 something? Someone let me know in the comments, I can't remember. So around 1700s-ish is when Newton figured this stuff out. So how long were people around in the 1700s? Well, there's lots of archaeology going back. Maybe we were around 10,000 years. Maybe we were around 100,000 years. I don't know, but we were around for a long time. Human beings have been on this planet for quite a while. But it wasn't until about 400 years ago, 300 years ago, that people learned about this thing called physics. And originally it was called, I think, natural philosophy. So physics is a very unnatural thing to understand. It's essentially the study of energy and motion, right? So that's why it's hard to wrap your mind around this concept of a Newton. So named after Isaac Newton, this force when you push something, right? Remember, I got a 1 kilogram block. I push it for 1 second, and now it's traveling 1 meter per second, all right? Or 1 meter per second, sorry. So now I've exerted 1 Newton of force. Now let's say I can change the speed of that block from 0 to 1 meter per second, but I only use half a second to do it. Now I've doubled the force. You guys can get out a piece of paper if you don't believe me. All right, so I've doubled the force. Now I've put 2 newtons of force onto it because it's still traveling 1 meter per second, but the rate at which I sped it up was faster. So now I only used half a second to speed it up. Now let's say I punch this thing. Let's say I punch the cube, all right? And it moves from 0 to 1 meter per second in 1/10 of a second. Not a half a second, but 1/10 of 1 second. That means now I have exerted 10 newtons of force. So I've exerted 10 times the force just by what's called the force of impact, right? Because it happened in a very short time, okay? So now I want you to replace this cube with somebody else's head, okay? We want to maximize the force that we can hit the person with. And the way we maximize the force is by, number one, maximizing our mass. And yes, we can maximize the mass. We can change the mass. And some of you are thinking, Eric, that doesn't make any sense. We're just this mass. I can't like gain weight or lose weight while I'm punching. Well, yes, you can. You can actually do things to increase the weight or increase the force, the mass component of the force. If you want me to do another podcast on that, I can do it. But I'm not going to explain it right now because that would be too long. So anyway, you can maximize your own mass. you can maximize your own speed of your punch so that you can put 1,000 newtons of force into your strike. And it all has to do with the mass times your velocity, so the momentum of your strike, and how that transfers and changes the speed of the object that you hit. Okay? So if somebody's head is sitting still, moving 0, and you blast it, let's say the head weighs, 3 kilograms, and you hit the head, and the head changes from 0 meters per second to 5 meters per second, or 4 meters per second, in a very short amount of time, the amount of force you're going to be putting is an extremely high amount of force directly into the head or face or hitting someone else's body like that. So that's how you calculate the amount of force that your punch is exerting. If you would like, I can do a video on this. I am eventually planning to make a series called Fight Physics. Let me see. What's the name of the series? Actually, I haven't named the series yet, but essentially it's going to be a series of episodes showing mathematical calculations and physics calculations on generating just the impact force. I can make a video on explosive power. But guys, this would be a series. It would be high production value. If you're interested in that, again, leave a comment. Help support us. But we need a lot of funding for something like that. It needs to be a serious, legit production, and I would be totally happy to put that together. I do have some filmmaking experience, as some of you know. But to make it happen, we need a lot of people, lots of cameras, writing. It's a production. So I would totally be happy to put on a series showing these things in slow motion, showing the effects of the impact, and how you can maximize your own force of your own strike in a legitimate, high-speed cameras, mathematical calculations. We can have sensors to measure the force of people's impact, and I can help show them how they can increase their impact, and you can see the measurable difference where I can get somebody to double or triple the force of their punch, just with some simple corrections. So if you want that, let me know. Leave it in the comments. I might have to start a GoFundMe to do it, but I would be willing to do it. If you guys are interested, let me know. Lastly for today, and then I'll wrap up. Self-defense tip. Eyes up. Okay? I don't know how many of y'all, if you're listening and you're between the age of 13 and 28, 30, something like that, you guys are always with your face in your phone all the time. And it's true for the other ages too. If you have a phone, you got to look at how much you are in your phone. But typically people after 30 tend to learn that having your face in your phone all the time isn't such a good idea, because they've probably had some instances, right? Guys, I know you like looking at your phone. I love it too. I love TikTok. I love Instagram. They got really good stuff. Facebook's fun. But when you guys are walking around, man, especially in an area you don't know, don't be so oblivious. Don't be just, okay, I'm in this new area, I don't know. Just don't have your head down in your phone in a brand new place that you've never been before. Keep your eyes up. Find a place if you need to look at something. If you need to text somebody, text them, put your phone back. But keep your eyes up. Look around. Look out for people, okay? Just the act of you looking around makes you less of a target, because you appear to be aware of your surroundings, whether you are or not. Eyes up, look around. Another thing, you guys, with your headphones in, I mean, your eyes are open, but you're not looking around at anything. You're so oblivious of the entire world that is happening around you. So be careful, those of you that like to travel with your headphones in and everything, take a moment, take a breath, look around you and acknowledge what's going on. A lot of times you're listening to music or maybe even this podcast and you're traveling to work and you're just kind of zoned out listening. Just take a second and look left and right, head up, look around. If you're worried, oh my God, I made eye contact with someone. If stuff like that really worries you, then come in and take one of our classes. We'll help you out, okay? All right. That's it for today's podcast. I'm going to sign off right now or wrap everything up. You guys follow us on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, Sifu Eric. I'm on TikTok as Sifu Eric. We have the Facebook Wing Tsun Illinois. And our YouTube is also Wing Tsun Illinois. And of course, Spotify. I am the Kung Fu Physicist. This is my podcast. And I will be very happy to have you guys listen to me next time. That's all. Have a good day.